A thin band of fog clung to the slopes of Vesper Peak as the sun began to rise, casting a cold blue light over the North Cascades. The granite spires looked close enough to touch, their jagged edges cutting through the morning haze, and the air carried that stillness only mountains can hold. At the Sunrise Mine trailhead, 33-year-old Samantha Sayers tightened the straps on her small day pack, brushed a strand of dark hair out of her face, and stepped onto the narrow path. It was August, and the day ahead looked clear enough for a quick solo climb. She had done the route before. She knew the terrain. Nothing about the morning suggested she wouldn't be home by dinner. The first section of the trail wound through dense forest, tall evergreens blocking most of the light. The air was cool and damp, and Sam moved quickly, following the familiar switchbacks that climbed toward Headley Pass. She had planned a standard out-and-back route to the summit ridge, nothing unusual or dangerous for an experienced hiker. Other hikers later said they saw her along the trail that morning, recognizable by her bright beanie and her friendly hello as she passed. She looked comfortable, confident, and prepared. Nothing seemed off. By midday, clouds slid in from the west. On Vesper, weather changes quickly, and gusts began to sweep across the ridges, lifting loose grit and rattling the branches. Sam's phone placed her near the summit area around early afternoon, close to the point where the trail gives way to open gray rock and a final scramble. After that ping, nothing else registered. When evening came and she didn't return, her boyfriend grew uneasy. He waited, thinking traffic or a slow descent might explain the delay, but concern settled heavier with each hour. When darkness took the mountain, he called authorities and drove to the trailhead himself, hoping to spot her car empty and waiting, hoping she'd appear out of the dark with an apology for being late. But the lot stayed still. Snohomish County Search and Rescue mobilized before dawn. Helicopters, dog teams, drones, rope units, and hundreds of volunteers poured into the area. They scoured the trail from the mine ruins to the pass. They checked every chute, gully, and exposed ledge. The summit block of Vesper Peak is steep, with loose rock and drop-offs, and rescuers carefully worked each dangerous section. They searched crevasses and dens under boulders, where injured hikers sometimes crawl for shelter. Nothing. No footprints. No torn fabric. No sign she had ever begun her descent. Days passed, then weeks, and the operation grew into one of the largest searches in county history. Helicopters flew grid patterns, mapping the mountain inch by inch. Heat-seeking drones scanned the slopes for any thermal signature, even a faint one. Searchers replayed Sam's likely path, considering what she might have done if she turned an ankle, got disoriented, or tried to take a shortcut off the summit. They examined runoff channels, avalanche debris fields, and steep gullies that funneled into thick timber. Every scenario was walked, climbed, and flown. Nothing turned up. Her boyfriend remained at the trailhead most days, setting up a small camp and refusing to leave while hope still felt possible. Volunteers brought food, water, and updates from the search zones. People who had never met Sam arrived from across the state to help. Online groups formed, studying topographic maps and speculating on alternate routes she might have taken. Despite the effort, every lead ended the same way: empty terrain and no evidence. Some volunteers returned day after day, believing sheer determination might reveal what technique and technology hadn't. Authorities considered several possibilities. A fall seemed the most obvious, yet the thoroughness of the search made that explanation increasingly unlikely. If she had gone over a cliff or into a chute, search teams almost certainly would have found something: gear, clothing, or remains. There was no sign of animals dragging anything, no disturbed ground, and no scent trail for the dogs to follow. Foul play was discussed, but dismissed. There was no evidence of another person being involved, no reports of suspicious hikers, no abandoned campsites, and no indication she met anyone on the trail. As August turned to September, the weather worsened. Early storms rolled through the mountains, dropping heavy rain and coating the upper slopes with fresh snow. Each day, the terrain grew more dangerous. Rescuers faced the painful reality that continuing at full scale risked more lives. The official search downsized but did not fully stop. Small teams kept checking new angles, new theories, and any area they felt hadn't been examined completely. Still, nothing surfaced. Each storm that hit the mountain erased small clues that might have existed: footprints, disturbed soil, even the faint outline of a camp. Her family refused to give up. They held gatherings, coordinated volunteer missions, and kept her name circulating in local news. Her mother spoke often about Sam's resilience and her love for the outdoors. Friends described her as determined, adventurous, and grounded, someone who wouldn't leave the trail unless she had a clear reason. The lack of answers only deepened the ache. Without evidence, every theory stayed alive. Some believed she fell where no one could reach her. Others thought the weather changed too fast and forced her toward a dangerous cutoff route. A few wondered if she had stepped off the trail to help someone and never made it back. By the time winter arrived, deep snow sealed the upper mountain. Any trace of a struggle, a slip, or a campsite would have been buried. When spring melted the slopes the next year, volunteers returned. They searched again, hoping the thaw might reveal something the previous season had missed. Once more, the mountain gave them nothing. Even experienced climbers admitted the mystery was staggering. A hiker on a marked trail in daylight among other hikers vanished without leaving so much as a scrap of fabric or a broken piece of gear. Years have passed, and Vesper Peak still holds its silence. Visitors walk the same trail Sam followed, crossing the pass and climbing toward the open rock where she was last seen. Some pause near the summit, looking out over the wide sweep of ridges and lakes, wondering how someone could disappear so completely in a place filled with other hikers. Her family still waits for answers, holding to the hope that someday a clue will surface, even a small one, to explain what happened on that quiet August afternoon. To this day, no evidence has ever been found. The trail remains popular, the questions remain unanswered, and the final moments of Samantha Sayers' hike are still unknown. Thank you for listening to The Lantern's Tale. Subscribe for more true stories, if you dare.